That was a very, very, very disappointing performance. The Manchester City match, folks, come up, Newcastle fans. If you really want to, make sure you stick around for a very disappointing afternoon for Newcastle. It's match day, Newcastle fans. Welcome back to Black and White Banter, and here we go. And here we go indeed, because this is not an away day that I have ever, in my lifetime, looked forward to, apart from one very single Carabao Cup, whatever it was called at the time, away win back in 2014. That is over 10 years ago since we have had our only ever win at the Etihad. My night last night going to bed looked like this.
Man City away tomorrow. Bring it on. Hang on, Man City away. Well, we did beat them in the League Cup that time.
But yes, we've had bad records, lots of places. We have literally, I've seen Aguero score 5 goals. I've seen us get battered 6-1, 5-0. You've just seen it on that video. But if ever there was a time to play Pep Guardiola's champions Man City, it's probably now. And look, we are missing players. Yeah, that's right, I got the fear. But like I said at the end of that video, we are clutching on to that 2-0 win. I was there, I remember that. Poznan's in the away end. Literally, Rolando Aarons scored. Remember him? I imagine a lot of people watching this video probably don't. Sissoko got an absolute banger in the second half as well. Look, we are here. We are outside the Milne Road Social Club, just behind me here. This is one of my favourite away days. Manchester United, I hate them. Everybody who watches my videos knows that. Or Man City is a brilliant away day because we take over this beautiful social club just behind me. We fill it out. It's just great. Music playing, cheap pints, and then we invade the stadium after that. And look, how do I feel about this one? Well, I still feel very much on like the Wembley Cloud 9. Every conversation on the supporters bus on the way down over a couple of beers is Wembley, Wembley, Wembley. What trains have you got? Where you sitting? What view have you got? But there is a league to go at, a very important league to go at. I'll tell you what, we beat Birmingham in the Cup, so we're still keeping that Cup dream alive. But European football is still really important for us. It really, really is. Manchester City, I've just said at the start of this, it's not a place we've ever done well. I'll rhyme off the stats very soon. I'm just going to warn you now, the stats are not nice. But this Manchester City team is not the Manchester City team that we know. Conceding goals for fun, completely out the title race, losing matches, drawing matches. And I think quite fragile, that's probably the best word I would describe as Pep Guardiola's team this season. Lots being talked about. Is it because he's having problems with his wife or ex-wife off the pitch? Is it because of the charges? Is it because they are just going through a rebuild? In my opinion, that's what it is. But this is an opportunity for us to get something. And I say something, I don't mean go to Man City and absolutely smash them. I don't expect that in a million years. Football's just not as simple as that. And they are still a very good team with very good footballers. But I would like to hope this is an opportunity for Newcastle to get something. Look, Joe Linton is a massive loss. I think that Joe Linton, Bruno and Tonali, that beautiful midfield three, would absolutely take it to the De Bruynes, the Kovacic, that their midfield that is starting to age a bit now. I think we would match them for athleticism, for finesse, for passing ability, and just being in their faces. And that's a disappointment. Who Eddie Howe brings in there is a different conversation altogether. But let's hope today is not a 5-0. It's not a 6-1. It's not an absolute travesty. Last season wasn't a travesty, but we still didn't really lay a glove on them. We were defensively really sound. I remember Eddie Howe went quite defensive that day in his team selection. Will he do the same like he did in the Arsenal semi-final second leg? I don't think so. I don't want to see that. But let's just hope today we get something, because this is an opportunity for us to go to a stadium that we have nightmares of. I personally have nightmares of, and just rewrite a bit of history in that sense. Alan Shearer scoring his 250th goal back in 2005 is the only time we've taken even a point in the Premier League at the Etihad. Let that stat sink in. And on that note, let's get to some lovely black and white banter stats. Stats. Why I started this positive, because it's not going to be positive. First one, Manchester City have won their last 15 Premier League home games against Newcastle. Only 3 teams have had a higher consecutive winning run against the side at home in the Premier League ever. This is not a happy hunting ground. I don't need to go back over things I've already said. We've lost 5-0. I remember Aguero scoring 5 when we lost 6-1. It's just not a nice place that we ever visit. So fingers crossed that one, I'm the good jinx, is switched can't get the words out, switched around today. Fingers crossed.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Right, look, I promise not all of these stats are negative. Well, this is probably one of the only positives I can pull out from Newcastle visiting the Etihad Stadium. Look, Pep Guardiola's team, we all know, have not been at the races this season. That's probably why a lot of Newcastle fans travelling down today on the beers, on the ciders, on the Jaeger bombs, on the tequila rose, in my case, are feeling a bit more confident. Manchester City, under Pep Guardiola, are facing their highest ever XG per shot. If you're not really into stats, that means expected goals per shot. It's the highest that it's ever been. Because they...
Come on, lads! I'm going to get me suit measured!
It's the highest it's ever been. And that's summed up in their XG as well.
Black and white banter because he's sexy.
Oh, holy! I'll take a comment like that all day. Yeah. I'm struggling to get this one out. It's the highest it's ever been. So if there's ever had a reason to be optimistic, it is because Eddie Howe's Mags might get some shots off, but might have some expected goals. And lastly, today is Battle of the Batman and Robins. You might be thinking, what the hell are you talking about, Matthew? How many beers in that social club have you had? Well, they say every Batman needs a Robin, and that's proven. So Savinho, Manchester City's newer player, he's assisted Haaland 5 times, but Mr. Jacob Murphy has assisted Mr. Alexander Isak, a beautiful Swede, 6 times. They are both the first and second highest players to assist a specific teammate out of any other in the league this season. So I did price it up. Any gambling people, Black White Banter does not promote gambling under any circumstances, but both players to score and both of them wingers to assist is currently 66-1. Expect Murphy to be trying to get amongst the action, expect Savinho to be getting amongst the action, and expect Mr. Erling Haaland and Mr. Alexander Isak to also be potentially amongst the goals. Fingers crossed, it's the latter. Right, I'm joined by the usual. Come on, never tell me. So, very confident today coming down. What's the score going to be?
2-0 Newcastle.
Who's scoring first?
Callum Wilson. I don't know.
Callum Wilson scoring first.
Aye.
So I'm assuming that's going to be like the 80th minute then.
Yeah.
Right, okay, there you go. 2-0. Callum Wilson scoring first.
Aye.
And are we going to win the Cup at Wembley?
Oh, aye. Fucking stupid question.
Right, we're in the old Millrow Social Club. Pretty much, oh, they are.
1-2, come let's
They are not mine. Right,
Right,
1-2. Pretty much predictions 1.
3-0.
You have to speak up.
Jacob Murphy first.
Oh,
3-0.
3
Easiest card.
3-0. Tell you what, how many drinks have you had? That's the question. Like the one Fraser hit me. We just had a Jaeger bomb, so I might change the opinion. What's your prediction? 2s each. I would take that all day. Are you seeing the scenario where we're winning first, or? Hey, tell you what, if there is a great game of football and we come away with a draw, I will be happy. Tell you what, I'll cheers to that. Away. Right, so anyone just watching this who just wants to know what an away day on the bus looks like, our bus is we're just enjoying a couple of drinks at the social club. Our bus has broken down, so we are now sharing a bus. We having to leave to the stadium earlier, so we've got lots of people's different stuff. We don't know how we're getting back home, but we've got a pint from the social club.
Double vodka, lemonade, blackcurrant.
Chef's kiss.
No, I wouldn't agree with that one. I'll go with a pint of Stella, but it's not all glam supporting your football club. But fingers crossed we get the results. So it doesn't matter too much.
Newcastle! Newcastle! Newcastle!
Shout at the security guard who looks like he's loving
You
his
know
life.
the rules!
There's the wave.
He knows the rules!
Just arrived outside the stadium. Team news has just dropped. He's gone Willock in midfield. Look, without that Joe Linton, he's got options there. I didn't know who he was going to go for. Willock is maybe a bit of a risk defensively, but fingers crossed it comes through. Everything else is pretty much as you'd expect. Fingers crossed. We are way too early, by the way. There's been a bus nightmare. I've just been sniffed out by sniffer dogs. Not a single thing on us that's illegal. Fucking hell. I've got on as a microphone. If making YouTube's illegal, which I think some Newcastle fans would probably say is, then fair enough, you should lock us up. But let's get inside there. Let's get a bev. Way too early than we should be. Joe Willock, fingers crossed. Oh, yeah, that was nice. Come on!
10 years since I've been here. 3-1. First goal scorer. Anthony Gordon.
Anthony Gordon, 3-1. Tell you what, I will take that all day. Wait a minute. What is this? What are we watching here? This is shite.
Newcastle, Waitrose! Newcastle, Waitrose! Newcastle, Waitrose!
Right, it's the morning after the day before. I've got a sore head from one too many beveraginis, as that video probably showed. But I've got a sore head because of the football mainly as well. Where do we even start with that one? I'm not anyone who watches my videos on the regular, firstly, apologies. I think you need your head looking at. Anyone who watches my videos on the regular knows that I'm not one to rant. I'm not one to go too hard. I do try and look at things. That's why I've started doing a lot of these post matches straight the day after. Because sometimes when you are full of alcohol, when you are really angry, sometimes you can say certain things. The analysis isn't always great, and I like to absorb things a little bit more. That just purely and simply was not good enough. And I can count on maybe one hand since Eddie Howe's been in charge where I'm more questioning the commitment of the players, which isn't something I really do very often. But I'm doing it after that one because, yes, we'll talk about from a tactical point of view. Do I think Eddie Howe got it wrong, how he set up from the start against a fragile Man City team? Yes, 100%. But there's what I'm more concerned about, and it's not me saving the manager, because the manager's job, even at half-time, when we bloody 3-0 down, having barely even had a sniff of the football, never mind their goal, it's still his job in the dressing room to rally them up, and he hasn't done that in such a big game. But I just think the level of commitment from the players was not there. You know it. If there's one thing this Newcastle team reeks of, and it's very obvious and easy to spot, it's the energy, it's the press, it's the working for each other, it's the celebrating together, it's just everything, and that's what makes this team so good. That's what makes this team so good at what we do, because we do have some average players. If you strip everything back, the likes of your Jacob Murphys and whatnot, we do still need polishing areas, but things are made up for in that sense by the way we all play together as a group, and it just wasn't there from the first whistle. And why is that? That's why I'm most angry today, that I'm stood here in the peeing down rain, questioning the attitude of the players in a game against Manchester fucking City, against a team that we have not beat in the league at their place since their stadium was opened, against a team that every single player must be so motivated to go up against, because they are the champions of England, the Champions League side. These are the matches as footballers you want to play in, and that just wasn't there. From the tactical side, as I've already mentioned, I think the way that we set up quite early doors, where Jacob Murphy was basically a right back. I mean, I was up in level 3, as my video shows, And from that high up in a big stadium, one of the main advantages for me sometimes is that you do get the full view. From a tactical point of view, you get to watch things pan out. And Trippier was going in as a centre-back every single opportunity he got in the first half. And Manchester City, yes, I talked about how fragile they are. Yes, we know they're not having a great season. And I probably said that too much. I am the jinx on these videos, as I always am. But they are one of the best teams in playing through the lines. They are one of the best teams at finding that space, but also staying patient with the football. The only reason goalkeepers played out from the back is because of Pep Guardiola. He's transformed European football and world football just with one style of play that he's basically created. So they are still a good team, but my God, did they find it so easy time and time again to go through the lines. And I'm not saying that a crazy press would have reaped loads of fruit, because we would have opened up even more space, but I don't think we pressed it in the right way, and there was space all over. It wasn't disciplined. We were all going to too many areas at once when we did decide to press. Their midfielders had a field day because of that. The attackers, the wingers, had a field day. God, we've basically bent over backwards and created another Egyptian king, and it's not even Mo Salah from Liverpool. It's one of their new signings with a bloody hat-trick in the first half. So I think Eddie Howe got that wrong. I don't know why that was the thinking, but from my side, I think with everything that I've just mentioned there, it's a mix of both. I think tactically we weren't set up great, but also the application of the players was just shocking. And Bruno's come out and said it, and I just get sick of it. Why should a player come out and say we weren't right quite at it, we weren't really there? They're just words, Mr. Guimaraes, they really are. Yes, I respect him for coming out and talking after such a poor result, but just why? We've had a week to prepare. Players were rested against Birmingham in the Cup. Why was that? Those energy levels, why were they not bang up for one of the best opportunities we've had to go somewhere like the Etihad, not win? I was talking to people who had snap your hand off for a score draw. We didn't even lay a glove on them. Anthony Gordon. Let's talk about some individual player performances with that in mind. Anthony Gordon, their fullbacks have had torrid times all season, especially since getting rid of Kyle Walker. I just thought he wasn't there. He had no pace about him, no energy about him. Midfield, Joe Willock, look, he was the one that people were curious who was going to play. I said before this match that Joe Linton being missing was a massive miss, because Joey Bruno and Tonali could really own their midfield that I think is starting to age. The De Bruyne's, the Kovacic's, those sorts of players. Without Rodri, they just aren't still the same team. And he went with Joe Willock, and Joe Willock, look, 2 goals against Birmingham. Probably had a spring in his step this week in training. I understand why Eddie Howe has gone with him. He does offer legs. He does offer the ball carrying from our box to their box, but it just wasn't there. Is it a case now of Joe Willock is only really suited to that left-hand side role, that Anthony Gordon is not going to be giving up anytime soon? Because we know that Willock and Joe Linton have worked really, really well for us in previous years when we got Champions League down that left. More of a central role with so much work to do. I thought Joe Willock offers very little defensively and very little yesterday going forward. But that was every player on the pitch. So from an attacking point of view, I'm not going to criticise Joe Willock too much. That was literally every single player. So I thought Gordon was poor. I thought Joe Willock was really poor. I thought Lewis Hall, look, we have sung his praises, and I'm not going to get on his back too much because he's been one of our best players and he's so young. But he's fell off a cliff. And I don't think anyone's talking about it, and it's okay to say it. I'm not getting on Lewis Hall's back too much because he's still learning his trade, and the way he's performed this season is probably more than what any of us expected week in, week out. But I would say the last 3 or 4 weeks he's lost a bit going forward. I know he obviously didn't play last week, so he's had a 2-week rest as well since the Fulham match. Fulham and Bournemouth, I thought he got put on toast for large parts of them games. And I thought yesterday, in a game where you need your fullbacks to be good, he just wasn't really at the races. And that's not someone I'm not angry about that, because he's so young and he's allowed to have bad performances, but that's what we're going to call it, as a bad performance. I thought Fabian Schär was really, really disappointing yesterday. And he's someone for me who probably doesn't get enough criticism when he is playing badly. That first goal was nothing short of a shambles. If that happens in Sunday League, a goalkeeper kick forward and a ball over the top, I am angry. Managers are literally flipping, bloody chucking launching water bottles off your head. Fergie kicking the boot to David Beckham all them years ago. That's how bad it was. It was the most basic of basic. Every single goal, there was no one around players. There's so much space. I thought Fabian Schär yesterday was absolutely god-awful when you really need a resolute centre-back partnership. Dan Burn didn't do much better, but I think because Dan Burn has been so solid and consistently pretty good all season, I don't like to come down on him too much. He did mop things up here and there from time to time. I thought Kieran Trippier so good against Arsenal. Didn't really have his best day, but he was being asked to play this weird system. And then Jacob Murphy, I thought the only midfielder that came out with any credit, even looking at Bruno, Mr. Captain, who's full of the words after the game, was probably Tonali. And Tonali didn't do much. He didn't offer. I thought defensively he was probably one of the worst games that Tonali's had. But you get that effort, you get that commitment. And I think that was obvious that he was one of the ones who seemed to be more bang up for it than others. Just so frustrating to be even talking this negative on a video. It really is, in a match that I went down there and felt so sure and so confident that we would, not sure, that's an extreme, but I was really confident we'd get something, and we've just been absolutely whitewashed like we are every single time we go to the Etihad. Look, Lewis Miley's probably one of the only positives, and everybody's talking about him today. I did think he looked bright. He has given Eddie Howe a dilemma with who plays that third central role. I think if Joe Willock is going to continue playing like that, when he's got a lot of defensive duties to do, and we've got Nottingham Forest and Liverpool in 3 days, Lewis Miley's going to have to come in and get some minutes. That was a very short, bright spark. The thing that I'm most frustrated with on this one is that Newcastle, the way we played against Arsenal, that semi-final second leg, and how we know we can play. If that Newcastle team shows up at the Etihad yesterday and plays like that, as disciplined, as organised, as passionate, as aggressive, as just controlled, disciplined in everything that we do, that's a totally different match. And that's what annoys me the most sometimes with this Newcastle team. Is it one eye on the cup final? Well, it fucking shouldn't be, because it's a month away. It's literally a month today. That's so long away. Yes, it's the game we're all thinking about, but there's so much football to be played. We do not want European football to slip through our fingertips, because half of that squad will be away. So that's what I'm most annoyed about. The away end today, I know by me saying it on a video, I'm part of it. It doesn't help anything by me slating it. It was one of the worst away ends I've ever been in. We do need something to shout and sing about, but we also have a bit of a responsibility. And I feel like I've been doing away days long enough to comment on ones that are just randomly really bad, and I didn't really know why. Not much singing at all of any description, and the aborted faster. And I know we were 4-0 down, so people will say, well, look, it's your money, it's your ticket, you can leave when you want. Just a bit disappointing to see. Really quiet, and everyone said the same. A lot of older blokes who've been coming a lot longer than me agreed with us. But look, Newcastle fans, we have to dust ourselves off and forget about that one. Nottingham Forest have lost. The league table still looks pretty healthy. We are only 3 points behind Man City. Fulham are creeping up on us now after their win against Forest on Saturday. Massive game against them on Sunday. A long time to prepare. We do need Joe Linton back ASAP, but that level of performance is not acceptable under any circumstances, any manager, any regime, any ownership. I just didn't see enough playing for the Badger. I did not see them players, and it was at times yesterday, it was embarrassing. At least the beers went down well, but doesn't a hangover just help with a lovely 4-0 defeat on top of it? Keep the faith, as always. Thanks for watching, Newcastle fans. Dealing with Eddie Howe's Mags has been released. So if you haven't gone and had a look at that, it was a bit later than I wanted to. That's because they take a long time to put together. Whack that follow, whack that subscribe. I'll try and get some videos in during the week before Forest on a couple of issues, but that needs to improve. Let's just keep the faith and see whether it does. Away, Eddie Howe's. Disappointed as hell, Max.